Today's guest showcased a painting that originally belonged to her mother, who was a friend of the artist Rene Portocarrero.
When she saw this painting was in their studio, it was still wet, it was on the easel, and she said, I have to have that. And he was very excited that she loved it.
Portocarrero stands as one of Cuba's most renowned modern artists, celebrated for his vibrant expressionistic paintings, drawings, and murals that reflect the rich cultural heritage of Havana and Afro-Cuban traditions. He debuted at Havana's Lyceum in 1934, later became involved with the avant-garde Oregonist literary circle, and began exhibiting internationally as early as his 1945 solo show at New York's Julian Levy Gallery. The subject of this painting is a flower with petals in a pot. Portocarrero often depicted scenes deeply rooted in Cuban culture, and in this piece, we see his hallmark use of bright, saturated colors and lavish, textural brushwork. The painting dates to around 1958 and is executed in oil on canvas. Adding to its charm is the original Baroque frame, which Portocarrero personally selected to complement the subject matter.
For the painting would add his own personal touch by adding certain pigments, and in this particular case, green and white paint into the floral part of the frame.
Portocarrero's market has seen steady appreciation, especially amid renewed global interest in Cuban modernism. At auction, given the collectability of Portocarrero's work, this painting would be worth...
We think that this painting is worth in the vicinity of $18,000 to $22,000.
My goodness, that's wonderful.
What we have on display is one of the most iconic and searing images in 20th century American photojournalism. This photograph was taken by Stanley Forman after the guest's father, then the city editor at the Boston Herald, assigned him to cover a demonstration amid ongoing segregation issues in Boston. Stanley Forman was an American photojournalist who won the Pulitzer Prize for spot news photography 2 years in a row while working for the Boston Herald. What makes this photograph especially significant is that it won the 1977 Pulitzer Prize for spot news photography and became a visceral symbol of racial tensions in both Boston and the broader United States. Taken in 1976, it captures a shocking moment. Ted Landsmark, a black attorney and activist, being assaulted by Joseph Rakes, a white teenager wielding the American flag, during an anti-busing protest outside Boston City Hall.
So they had sort of coming out of the city hall and they were heading towards the federal courthouse to protest there. The man in the photograph, his name is Ted Landsmark, and he just happened to be going to a meeting. He was also happened to be a civil rights lawyer. One of the protesters picked up the American flag and ran at him with it.
Landsmark sustained a broken nose in the attack, and police ultimately pulled him out of the scene. Titled The Soiling of Old Glory, the photograph is widely studied in the contexts of journalism, ethics, and civil rights.
This image appeared and it went nationwide. Then people started taking a lot more note, and it really pushed people to really start dealing with it. It was a terrible scene in Boston.
Adding to its significance is Forman's signature on the print, a rare and valuable feature. A signed original photograph from the period carries historical, artistic, and political weight, making it highly collectible. At auction, this iconic photograph by Stanley Forman would command a price of,
I would say conservatively on a retail basis, $2,000 to $3,000.
Really?
I mean, it's such an iconic photo. It's fabulous.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
As a child in 1965, the guest's father purchased this violin for her as she was learning to play a string instrument.
Oh, when my dad saw the cost.
And how much was that?
It was $600 in 1965, but we bought a brand new car to drive across country, and it was $3,000. And so 600 of that, at the time I'm a kid, I'm like
a lot
11 or 12 years old.
Sure.
Yeah, it was a big chunk of money at that time. And
Inside the violin, there's a maker's seal that helps date the piece to circa 1750. The instrument is of German origin and reflects the height of 18th century Central European violin, making an era known for producing beautifully balanced instruments, prized for both their tonal richness and fine craftsmanship.
But the instrument is German, maybe made in Nuremberg, maybe Vienna, but I think more like Nuremberg. One of the better families of makers, perhaps the family named Widhalm, W-I-D-H-A-L-M, Widhalm. It reminds me of Widhalm instruments.
It features elegantly shaped edges and corners, along with an intricately carved spruce top. The violin is entirely hand-carved, with a lower arch than its Italian contemporaries, which contributes to its warm, projecting tone. Its body still bears traces of the original dark brown varnish that once covered the entire instrument, though much of it has faded over time. Notably, this violin still retains its original neck, an uncommon survival, as the necks of 18th century German violins are often replaced. However, the neck has been modernized in the 19th century style by re-angling it at the heel through the addition of wood. Interestingly, there are visible cracks in the scroll of the instrument, which rather than diminishing its value, add historical character and authenticity. At auction, in its current condition, this 18th century handmade German violin would be valued at
somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000.
Oh my goodness. That's incredible. It makes me miss my dad even more. He's gone. You know, as I looked at how much he paid for it growing up, I realized it was a huge amount for that day and time.
But a good choice.
And I'll bet if my dad knew how much it was worth, he would still pay that much.
That would make him happy.
He loved us that much.
Showcased here is a ceramic bowl that the guest inherited from her uncle after his passing.
And do you know where he got it from?
I don't know exactly. He lived in New York for years and years. He was a professor there in mathematics, and he liked beautiful objects.
This bowl is Persian, dating to the Safavid dynasty period, circa 1501 to 1736.
The Safavids were a mixed dynasty. They came from Kurdistan, I believe, and then settled in Ardabil. They ended up being a very powerful dynasty. They were also Sufis. Sufism is another dimension of Islam.
It features characteristics typical of Persian art, with a striking palette of black, green, and cobalt blue. The bowl is hand-thrown, glazed, and decorated with cobalt blue, manganese, turquoise, and gilded details. Its border design is of Chinese origin, while the depiction of birds, a favored motif of the period, adds to its cultural resonance. At the center of the bowl is a stylized face of the sun, radiating from the base outward. Interestingly, the bowl is made of stoneware, though the interior has the translucent appearance of porcelain reflecting Persian efforts at the time to emulate Chinese ceramic techniques. The underside is coated with a treacly thick glaze that runs down to an unglazed foot. Remarkably, the bowl remains in pristine physical condition despite its age, which significantly enhances its value. At auction, this Safavid-era Persian bowl would command a price of
Retail would be between $15,000 and $17,000.
Oh, that's amazing.
Crafted with reverence and restraint, this table and chair set embodies the quiet poetry of George and Mira Nakashima. George Nakashima was a Japanese-American architect, woodworker, and a pivotal figure in the American studio craft movement. Mira Nakashima, who trained under her father, assumed leadership of the Nakashima studio after his passing and has continued the legacy with both fidelity and thoughtful innovation. This furniture set was inherited by the guest from her parents, who purchased it in the 1970s. The table, made by Mira Nakashima, is crafted from American black walnut and features a live-edge tabletop that preserves the natural contours of the tree.
There are subtle differences. This is called a conoid table, right? And the table was named after the studio, which fascinatingly is this National Historic Register, historic places. Yes.
It includes 6 dovetailed butterfly joints visible, hand-cut wooden inlays used to stabilize cracks or splits serving both functional and decorative purposes. Tables by Mira Nakashima are highly collectible, and this one is estimated to be worth
I would say that this is probably more in the $8,000 to $12,000 range if you were to purchase this at auction. Okay.
The chairs, known as the new chair, feature hickory styles and walnut crest rails, with exposed dowels visible along the top. Underneath the chairs is the signature of George Nakashima. further enhancing their authenticity and provenance. If these chairs were to come up at auction, each would fetch a price of
We'll be bringing around $2,000 a piece, where the armchairs are probably in the $3,000 a piece range.
To hold these books is to hold History First Edition signed by Langston Hughes, whose pen gave voice to a generation. Hughes was an American poet, social activist, playwright, and columnist from Joplin, Missouri. The guest presenting this collection acquired the books through yard sales and garage sales over 20 years ago.
And I found the books and I seen they were signed. Inside one of the books, the inscription is to a gentleman named Gene. The lady told me that that was her uncle. And Mr. Gene, his friend was Mr. Langston Hughes.
Included is a signed first edition of The Big C, published in 1940, though it is missing its original dust jacket.
I have it.
You have the dust jacket?
Yes, that one is very good. This one was like a little more tattered, so I didn't bring it. I took it off and I left it where it was at because I didn't want no damage to happen to it.
The second book in the collection is an inscribed first edition of Simple Takes a Wife, published in 1953.
These simple tales for Gene Howard, sincerely simple, not Howard, but Shaw, Langston Hughes. It's a very, very clever inspiration. Clearly, they were good friends to get a nice, warm, personal inscription like that.
Lastly, there is a signed first edition of I Wonder as I Wander, published in 1956, complete with its original dust jacket.
Especially for Gene Shaw, My Second Life, 7 more to come. Like a cat, sincerely, Langston Hughes, New York, March 22nd, 1958.
It is extremely rare to find 3 signed first editions by Langston Hughes together, making this collection exceptionally valuable. Signed first editions by Hughes are highly sought after by collectors of African American literature, Harlem Renaissance history, and 20th century poetry. Given their rarity and Hughes's profound literary significance, this collection would sell for
$8,000 to $10,000.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, that's amazing. Really amazing.
Today's guest brought in a piece of furniture she purchased at an auction.
I actually postponed a hernia surgery to attend the auction. When I went to preview the auction, I suspected it was Eames, and then when I looked in the drawer, I knew it was. And so I sat through the whole auction and I won the bid.
This piece was designed by Charles Eames for the Herman Miller Furniture Company. Charles Eames was an American designer, best known for his work in furniture, architecture, and industrial design. This furniture is a mid-century modern icon, blending modular functionality with industrial design and vibrant visual appeal. Introduced around 1950, these units were part of Charles and Ray Eames's vision for affordable, adaptable furniture in the post-war American home. Known as the ESU 420N, where N refers to the neutral color palette, 400 denotes the series, and 20 indicates the drawer and door configuration. There are 341 individual components in this cabinet, including riveted metal supports, rubber foot glides, and lightweight yet structurally innovative materials. One design flaw in these early models was the legs, which were too thin and prone to crumpling under weight or during transport.
So in shipping, or when you pile a lot of heavy items on top of this, and then you want to move it even just an inch, those legs can kind of give way.
However, in 1953, this issue was corrected by the manufacturer, and later models were produced with sturdier legs for better support. Very few examples of this furniture survive in such excellent condition, and in an auction, this piece is estimated to be worth.
I think this would sell for about $20,000.
What? Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I was going to be cool. I had no idea. I thought maybe $800.
Like frozen motion in precious metal, this circa 1940 waterfall pin captures the drama of its era in platinum and diamonds. Originally, the pin belonged to the guest's grandmother, who lived in Chicago, before it was passed down to her. The piece features a sculptural cascade of diamonds, designed to mimic the flow of water or the folds of fabric. The diamonds are baguette cut and weigh approximately 4 carats, set in 2 ounces of platinum. Looking at the back of the pin, we can see that it can also be converted into a necklace. Retro jewelry from this period emphasized volume and motion, with waterfall pins offering dynamic sparkle and fluidity perfect for structured wool jackets or evening gowns. Waterfall brooches from the 1940s remain popular among vintage jewelry collectors and stylists for their versatility worn on a lapel, sash, or even in the hair. If this piece were to come up at auction, given its collectability, it would be worth,
I would say at auction, $15,000 to $20,000.
Great.
Not bad, right?
Not bad.
Yeah.
For a bunch of rocks.
This is a NASA A7L Apollo suit, one of the most iconic pieces of 20th century space exploration gear engineered for the Apollo missions, including the first moon landing. The guest who brought this piece onto the show acquired it through a parking lot sale organized by International Latex Company.
They were in the same town as I was, and they had a lot of material they just didn't need anymore, but they did need money. So they had a parking lot sale, and lo and behold, this was there for $100 and we got it.
Originally founded in 1932 by Abram Spannell in Rochester, New York, the International Latex Corporation, ILC, evolved into a major garment producer under the Playtex brand. In 1962, NASA awarded a preliminary Apollo spacesuit contract jointly to Hamilton Standard and ILC, with ILC tasked as a subcontractor to fabricate the pressure garment. This suit features the NASA meatball patch, American flag, mission patches, and name tags sewn on. Interestingly, this is not the complete spacesuit, but the outermost layer. On the inside of this suit, we can see the components used to construct this piece. The suit is still in a very good condition, further enhancing its value. Given the historical importance of this suit to the American space exploration programs, this suit would be worth...
We put an auction estimate of $15,000 to $20,000 on this.
Oh my goodness, $15,000 to $20,000. Well, I didn't buy it for that, but
no.
That's a lot.
A military dive, a sealed deposit box, and a Rolex that spent decades waiting to shock its owner with a fortune. The guest recounts buying the watch through a base exchange in Thailand while stationed there in the mid-1970s.
I had purchased while I was in the military. I was stationed in Thailand from 1973 to 1975. And while I was there, I flew on Air America Airlines and Continental Airlines, and I noticed that most of the pilots that were flying those aircraft wore Rolex watches, and I was intrigued by them. I always wanted to purchase them, but they were very expensive. Later, when I was transferred to another base, I found this particular watch where I could afford it, and I never used it. I looked at it and I said, you know, this is really too nice to take down in salty water. I had other watches I wore, and I just put this one into a safety deposit box. It stayed there for 30 or 40 years.
Unveiled is a Rolex Oyster Cosmograph Daytona, reference 6263, a timepiece that's become the pinnacle of vintage luxury watch collecting. Though purchased in 1975, the watch itself was manufactured around 1971, its bracelet still bearing the original date mark.
The amount that you paid, you even got a 10% discount. It says $345.97. Was that a lot of money in 1975 to you?
It was a lot of money for myself.
What was salaries back then?
It ranged between $300 and $400 a month, if I have it correct.
What sets it apart is the Oyster text on the dial, denoting screw-down pushers and classifying it as a rare Mark II dial, a feature produced for only a short time.
They made this version with and without screw-down buttons. The ones without the screw-down buttons are still water-resistant, but this was a much better water-resistant case because you could lock down the chronograph button.
The original foil sticker remains untouched on the case back, a detail lost instantly with even minimal use.
The date mark on the bracelet shows that it was made in the first quarter of 1971, and he ordered it a couple years later.
Equally remarkable is the complete ensemble: blank warranty papers, original box, outer box, brochures, and purchase receipts.
You saved everything, which is really wonderful. The warranty paper was never filled out and was never numbered, so you actually have a blank guarantee, which is quite unusual. And even over here, this paper is blank. A blank paper today is probably worth about $2,000 because it can be made to match any watch and add value to it. You have the original Rolex brochure here for the Cosmograph. You have two receipts, the order receipt and your payment receipt. You have the original box, even the outer box here.
Collectors often pay thousands just for a blank Rolex guarantee. This one has it all, untouched and pristine. While Paul Newman's Daytona sells in the low six figures, this version, rarer and untouched, is in a league of its own. Its unworn condition elevates it to what appraisers call new old stock, a virtually unheard-of status. Stored away for over 40 years without a tick, it has re-emerged as a horological treasure of epic scale. At auction today, this Rolex Daytona would command between
$500,000 to $700,000.
You're good.
No, I'm very serious. Oh, it's an absolute fabulous find.
a delicate pendant, rich in color and legend, once worn without fanfare, now gleams with surprising fortune. The guest beams as the symbolism unfolds. Fruit, birds, and blossoms adorning a piece once cherished simply for its beauty. Featured is a Chinese jadeite pendant from around 1910, a vibrant talisman of culture and craft. At its heart is fine jadeite, prized for its translucence and rarity, bordered by a soft pink tourmaline with striking contrast. Oranges and peaches, carved with care, speak of prosperity and abundance in Chinese tradition. The presence of songbirds elevates the message, symbolizing harmony in marriage and household bliss. These motifs aren't decorative by accident. They reflect centuries of visual storytelling in Chinese design.
Oh. Yes, and Chinese people love them.
Okay.
Yes, it's very auspicious.
Okay.
And oranges too.
Okay.
And the songbirds, I think it's in here, means marital harmony. So it's very good.
Nice.
The workmanship is exquisite, with well-balanced carving and exceptional color saturation throughout the jade. Tourmaline accents were especially fashionable in early 20th century Chinese jewelry, often reserved for high-status adornment. As demand for antique Chinese jade continues to rise, collectors are chasing pieces just like this. Though modest in size, its charm lies in the harmony between symbolism, stone, and age. At auction, this pendant would likely achieve a value between
Good. So conservative prices, but at the auction it should do 10 to 15,000.
Oh my
Yes.
word.
Huh. So you should be careful.
Yes.
a rancher's retirement, a mother's hunch, and a painting that turned family laughter into lasting value. The guest recalls how, after a string of risky stock investments, this artwork was the one thing her mother insisted they buy.
My dad, who was a rancher and retired, he began to speculate in the stock market, and he made a lot of money. My mother and I, we were kind of in the background, but she wanted to make one investment. And so he said, okay. We bought it in Houston, brought it home, and we were just the laughing stock of the family. My memory is we spent $2,000, but I think the receipt shows a little less than that.
Presented is a bold and rhythmic composition by Alexander Calder, the American artist known for making sculpture, dance, and color sing. Calder, born in 1898, turned to abstraction after a life-changing visit to Mondrian's studio in Paris in the early 1930s. Though famous for his mobiles and kinetic sculptures, Calder continued painting throughout his career with a unique visual vocabulary. This piece showcases his signature use of geometry-concentric circles, sharp black outlines, and a single striking hue of red. A soft gray wash balances the boldness, hinting at restraint behind the otherwise high-energy composition. Its minimalism is deliberate, transforming simple shapes into something profoundly architectural and intense.
And I think you can see that we have a lot of the things here. We only have the one color of red,
and we have these concentric circles boldly defined in black and white. Here he's done kind of a wash to create a gray with the watered down black, but it really is a very dramatic composition.
While Calder's paintings were once undervalued, today they command significant interest from collectors and modern art lovers alike.
When I started out in the auction market in the 70s, these things really didn't bring much money at all. They hit kind of a peak in 2006 and it's leveled out a bit more, but they're much more desirable than they were 30 years ago.
And this one striking, balanced, and historically rooted holds its own with undeniable clarity. It may have once drawn snickers from the family, but time has revealed it as a masterstroke of instinct. In today's market, this Calder painting could retail for approximately...
It might sell for about $50,000.
I'd say that was a good investment.
That was a good investment.
A worn spine avoided, a golden gleam preserved, and a book that now whispers its value from between untouched pages. The guest had long held on to this literary treasure, never suspecting its condition would become its greatest strength.
Well, it came down through my father, who was a great book collector, and it was left to him by a wonderful old Quaker lady in Pennsylvania who admired his love of books.
Revealed is a pristine first edition, its gilt lettering still shimmering like it was shelved yesterday. Often, copies of this book suffer from the passage of time, rubbing, dulling, and loss of their original luster. But this one defies the odds, with immaculate preservation that instantly catches a collector's eye. Even minor damage can slash value, yet here, every edge and corner holds the integrity of a cared-for heirloom. The book is not just a classic, it's a cornerstone of its genre, sought after for both content and craftsmanship. Condition in the rare book world is everything, and few examples survive with such untouched elegance. In lesser shape, this volume might have fetched only a few thousand its beauty masked by wear, but preserved as it is, the book rises far above average, dazzling with both rarity and radiance. It stands not only as a literary work, but as an artifact of careful stewardship and time. In today's market, this copy would be valued between...
I would go as far as to say that it's worth $10,000 to $12,000. Wow. It's a classic book, and in this condition, I don't know a collector who wouldn't want to own this book.
A lonely figure in a vast valley, a quiet title etched on the back, and a painter who taught himself to see the soul of the American West. The guest presents a serene canvas by an artist who walked away from formal training after just 3 months.
And he moved to San Francisco to study art. He was born in 1875, but he didn't really enjoy the academic atmosphere, so after 3 months he dropped out of school, and he's really considered a self-taught artist.
Unveiled is I Looked on My Valley, and It Was Beautiful, a panoramic work by Maynard Dixon, known for his poetic realism. Born in 1875 in Fresno, Dixon later settled in San Francisco, where he began shaping his signature vision. Dixon rejected dramatic flourishes, favoring simplicity and authenticity, painting the land not as myth, but as memory. This piece, with its sweeping landscape and solitary figure, marks a rare compositional choice from the artist. Its spacious stillness and grounded tone reflect Dixon's belief in portraying things as close to the real thing as possible. Collectors value his ability to distill the essence of the West without sentiment, just light, land, and line. The handwritten title on the back gives the work a voice, almost like a whispered reflection from the artist himself. Dixon's landscapes rarely come to market, and those with this kind of presence stir serious interest. With its subtle depth and powerful restraint, this painting holds more than just aesthetic weight. At auction, it would be expected to sell for an estimate of around...
I think at auction, this might bring as much as $20,000 to $30,000, maybe even a bit more.
Wasn't that something?
A grandmother's keepsake, an online impulse buy, and a compact case hiding a surprise well beyond its surface shine. The guest shares a gold necklace from her grandmother's journey to America in 1923 and a second piece won in an online auction.
My grandmother's necklace, she brought it from China. She came to the U.S. in 1923, And then this I bought on an online auction about 4 years ago.
First is a high-carat gold pendant featuring mottled jadeite carved into the shape of a heart, modern in make but traditional in spirit. Though not yet a century old, the craftsmanship and rich gold content make it a strong example of fine contemporary Asian jewelry. Then comes the unexpected treasure, a two-tier compact lined with mirrors, mystery, and more value than first assumed. Its broken jade pieces echo the shape of Han Dynasty coins, once carried as charms for prosperity and protection.
The two pieces of jade are broken.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. This one has a slight crack in it, and the top over here is missing.
Despite the damage, the piece stuns with a case of rare green gold exceptionally hard to craft and ideal for its vivid black enamel. Green gold holds enamel better than yellow, and here it wraps the entire compact, front and back, in deep glassy sheen.
What I like about this compact is the whole gold case is made from green gold, and that's very hard to do and very rare. The gentleman who made this, which is not marked, knew what he was doing because enamel adheres to green gold much better than yellow gold. And this is all black enamel, even on the back.
The unmarked maker clearly understood his materials, and the attached chain, though mismatched, is a luxurious two-tone platinum. Elegant and quietly complex, the compact reveals itself as a small masterpiece of early 20th century design. At auction, the jade pendant in its immaculate condition could fetch a conservative estimate between
$1,000 to $1,200 at auction.
Oh, okay.
But the compact, with its rarity and craftsmanship, would sell for,
at auction, could easily go anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000.
No kidding? Oh my God! I don't believe it. Oh my God! Really? I don't believe it.